Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the third Friday of the 2020 Triad Conference, sponsored by Triad of Wisconsin and RSVP of Dane County. My name is Kelly Crine. I serve on the board of directors for RSVP of Dane County, and I'm also a volunteer on the Triad Conference Planning Committee. So I have a few logistics to point out just before we get started. If you have a question during either of the presentations today, you can enter that in the chat box on the right side of the screen. So there's a question box there. We're going to hold on questions until after the speakers have finished, but I will bring your questions to the speaker's attention at that point. And if you, for the second presentation, there will be handouts available. And there is, in that same toolbar, you'll see a section for handouts. If you're interested in getting handouts for the first presentation, you can contact the presenter individually. And then for those of you requesting continuing education hours, GoToWebinar keeps attendance records, so we'll be able to use those to verify eligibility. There's no need to complete that, that post-event survey to get that. Yet we would still encourage you to complete that survey that goes out a couple days after each workshop, because it's helpful for us to get your opinions on each session. So now for today's speaker, Tiffany Bernhardt Schultz is the Southwest Wisconsin Regional Director for the Better Business Bureau. She is a regular guest on Madison-area news stations, addressing current scams and providing consumer tips for viewers. At the Better Business Bureau, she's working to advance marketplace trust between buyers and sellers and promoting informed buying decisions. Tiffany's workshop today is titled Online and Social Media Safety. Welcome, Tiffany. You can begin whenever you're ready.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about online and social media safety. My contact information is here. If you are interested in getting a copy of this presentation after the event is over, feel free to reach out to me directly. We'll talk about a lot of the services that the BBB offers and how we can help your organization as well. So thank you for joining me today, and I am going to go ahead and get started. Who's the BBB? Everybody knows that you can file a complaint through the BBB, but you can do so much more through us as well. We are a nonprofit organization, and we help people find businesses and charities that they can trust. We are not federally funded. We do not receive any government assistance. All of our operating income comes off of the accreditations that our businesses go through to support us in doing our outreach efforts. The BBB began in 1912. The first BBB opened in Minnesota. The BBB is celebrating 81 years this year, BBB serving Wisconsin. So we have been helping consumers in the state for almost 81 years. The core services that we offer, BBB Business and Charity Reviews. This is bbb.org. This is where we want you to go to check out businesses and charities. Charities are actually on give.org. That's BBB's charity handle. But bbb.org, we want you to visit bbb.org when you're looking to do business with any type of business, whether it's a contractor, roofer, plumber, financial professional. We want you to check out that business because you can find out so much information. And what's so important is their letter grade and any complaints that have been filed against them. Customer reviews are important too. We want you to read what the complaints were against that business and how that business owner solved them in order to make an informed decision on moving forward with doing business with that company. We also offer dispute resolution services. So if you are in a dispute with a company and you don't feel that you're getting anywhere, you can actually come to us and you can file a dispute with us, and our dispute resolution services will work directly with that company to try to resolve that issue on your behalf, and it is an alternative to going to court. And you'll see later how many consumers that we have helped through that process. So keep that in mind that it's completely free, and you can file a complaint at bbb.org/complaint. We also have an advertising review team. So consumers in the marketplace, they can bring bad advertisements to our attention, and we'll check those out. We'll work with that business owner to try to resolve that misleading advertising to make it a more informed and consumer-friendly marketplace. We also investigate bad businesses. We have a full-time investigator on our staff. She works with bad businesses. She gets bad websites shut down. She investigates fraud. We have relationships with a lot of the key people who help us work through fraud, local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, the FTC, the FCC, all of those organizations. We also work with AARP, which you'll hear from Courtney later. We work a lot with the media. We're constantly doing press, getting the word out about scams that are going on in our area, scams that are going on in the US. We send out consumer tips. We also do consumer outreach and speaking engagements like I'm doing today. All of our speaking engagements are completely free. If you're looking for this presentation or another presentation, we have a full library of topics. I'd be happy to come to your organization, do a speaking engagement, do something virtually. The options are endless. We participate in fairs and events. If you have anything that's coming up that you would like our participation, we'd certainly take a look at it and see if that's something that we can attend. We also provide content for newsletters and different brochures, things that your organization may be putting together, and we can certainly provide content for free. I write for a few different publications, and once a month I send them content to add in their newsletters. So feel free to reach out for that as well. We create standards for good ethical businesses. All of our accredited businesses are vetted and they stand up to our 8 standards of trust. Some of those are advertising honestly, being transparent, doing the right thing. So when you're choosing an accredited business, you are choosing somebody who already has been vetted to be a good business by the BBB. We also check licensing as well. If you're hiring a contractor, extremely important. Do they say that they're licensed or are they really licensed? If you're hiring somebody who's not accredited, you have to do that license check. If you hire somebody who is accredited, we've already done that for you. And all of our efforts fold into advancing marketplace trust. This is the impact that BBB has had over the last fiscal year. Our fiscal year ended September 30th of 2020. We had 1.8 million Wisconsin website visitors to bbb.org this year. That's a huge number. That number is up substantially since the pandemic. People were checking businesses out before using them. There were a lot of bad businesses that came about throughout the pandemic. Lots of fake websites that are out there who are misleading consumers into ordering from them and taking their money and not giving them the product that they ordered. So there were almost 135 million website visits on bbb.org across North America. Again, a substantial number. People are seeing that BBB is a valuable resource to them, and all of our information is completely free. We had 5.6 million page views. So when people are coming to BBB, they're visiting over 3 pages when they're on bbb.org. So again, another huge number. So 87% is going right to our business profiles. 87% of consumers, they want to know more information about the business. And then helping others. We've warned consumers about nearly 1,000 scams this year, a substantial number. And going back to the dispute, we've helped resolve over 15,000 disputes, and that's only BBB serving Wisconsin. Again, another substantial number. Our investigator, she opened 173 investigations based on bad business behavior. And we also have our scholarship, which is now open for applications. Every year, our BBB Foundation gives away $10, $2,500 scholarships to high school seniors who are attending a Wisconsin-based 2- or 4-year college or university. And the application is all based on ethics and integrity. It's not based on income. Grades do matter, but they're not a huge part of the application process. These are our future business leaders. We encourage high school seniors to apply, and they have until February to submit their application. So if you're interested, if you know of a senior who could use $2,500 towards their college education, have them apply. All of our information is on bbb.org, and like I said, we give away $10, $2,500 scholarships, and those are also available for those students attending the 2-year universities. We're going to talk a little bit about online scams. These are the scams that are tried and true scams that do stem from online platforms, since we are talking about online and social media safety. One of the big ones that are out there is tech support scams, and this takes two different forms. So scammers can either call you unsolicited and tell you that you have there's a problem with your computer. It can also come from the form of a pop-up ad. It can come in the form of an ad that maybe disables your computer. And so the person who is on the receiving end of this thinks that there's something wrong with their computer, and they go ahead and they call the number that's on the pop-up ad. And this actually happened to me. I was on a reputable website and this popped up, and this is actually an ad. This is not a problem with my computer. This happened on my work computer where all the antivirus and all the anti-spyware is there. I'm sorry, I work from home, so that's my little dog. Apologize in advance for that. But it looks like it's coming from Microsoft support, and it gives you the number to call Microsoft. And what they want you to do is when you call Microsoft is they want you to enter the key, and that key will actually give the person on the other end of the scam remote access to your computer. Once they're in your computer, they can get information for anything that they need. So they can get information if you do online banking, they can download spyware, malware, they can get in your computer. So be very, very careful. If something like this pops up, the first thing that you want to do is just disable the ad if you can. Sometimes you do have to do a complete shutdown on this in order for it to go away. Just like you have your dentist and you have your doctor on call, you also want to have your IT professional on call as well. Somebody that can help you work through these issues. So just be very wary that these are out there and these are completely real. I do want to go back to this other slide that sometimes they're not looking to get in your computer, but they are looking to diagnose a non-existent problem on your computer. So somebody calls you unsolicited or an ad pops up and they ask you to pay for something that's not necessary. And you've paid for something that you don't need. In that case, they're getting your credit card information, and that can lead to more scams down the road. So just be very, very careful if you do get one of these ads that pop up, and not all of the ads look like I showed you. They all look completely different. It might be from a pop-up, it might be something that takes up your whole screen. It may come on a website that's a very reputable website. Scammers purchase ads that don't let that fool you. So super careful because once you've clicked on a link and once there's malware on it, it does need to go to an IT professional to get fixed. Business email compromise scams. And I know we have a lot of social workers on this call. However, this scam, it targets both consumers and businesses. Usually it comes from an urgent last-minute email that you receive. It may come from your boss, but this is really hitting the real estate industry right now too, where scammers try to impersonate a real estate agent, instructing a home buyer or home seller to wire funds to a different account than they were originally instructed. And you can imagine that substantial amount of money if somebody's providing a down payment to a bank or if they're providing funds of some sort, how this could really escalate into large losses. Some of these business email compromise scams come with requests from gift cards. If it is your boss that's so-called emailing you, they email you and they say, hey, we want to get some employee gifts. Can you go and buy $800 in gift cards, but keep it secret. But when you come back, make sure that you've scratched off those numbers and you've taken pictures and you've sent them to me. That is typically a BEC scam. If you do get an email that seems a little wary and you're really not sure if it's fake or real, you really, really want to reach out to the person who sent it, because these emails may actually be coming from your boss's email or from your real estate agent or from your HR. HR has been targeted before too to reroute payrolls. So be very, very careful, question things. Sometimes they will look like they're coming from your boss's email or your real estate agent's email, but it'll be a little bit different. So it might be the name at XYZ company versus the name at XYS company. If it seems out of place, it probably is out of place. These emails usually don't have malicious attachments to them. They may have a link on them, but they usually are not malicious because they are in this person's email. They've gotten in through passwords, or they've purchased passwords on the dark web, or if they've compromised them in some other type of phishing form. BEC scams are on the rise. In 2016, about $360 million in losses, and you can see how that number has doubled almost every year. The latest figure is $1.77 billion loss, and that's an average of $75,000 loss per occurrence. And if you think about that number, it's really coming from these bigger hits, payroll, real estate agents, home buyers, home sellers. It's not the $800 gift cards that people are asking you to go buy. It is these large transactions that are taking place, and it is happening to consumers and it's happening to businesses. Prevention for this scam. You want to use long and strong passwords for your email accounts. Don't use the same passwords across multiple platforms. If they can get one password and they can try it on multiple platforms, and most likely they're going to be successful. You want to establish a multi-person approval process. So if it is payroll, or if it's something of paying bills or something like that, make sure that you have that multi-person approval. Like I said, if it sounds fishy, it may be fishy. Call the person requesting the money. Don't use the number in the email. If it is your real estate agent, don't use that number in the email. Reach out to them directly. Do not email them back, because if the scammer is in your email, they will communicate with you via email. And if it's your boss's email, if it's the real estate agent's email, they'll just respond to you. So you want to make sure that you've picked up the phone and you're communicating with that person. Like I said, you want to look for the typos and grammatical errors in the email. You can see how these email addresses look so similar, but they are different. Sometimes they don't get in your boss's email or your real estate agent's email, but they do use a similar email. The requests are always urgent. Sometimes they can be secret. And the last form of prevention is to educate your employees. So make them aware that this is a growing scam, and anybody can be scammed. Like I said, it happens to consumers and to business owners. If you're a victim of the scam, you want to notify your bank immediately. You may be able to initiate a recall. Sometimes it may be too late, but the sooner you catch it, the sooner the bank may be able to help. You can report the scam to bbb.org/scam tracker. We'll take a peek at that a little bit later. Larger amounts lost in this scam should be reported to the FBI. You can make that at ic3.gov. Keep in mind, when you do report to the FBI, they do really filter that tracker that they have, and they're not going to investigate the little stuff. So feel free to report it, but they're always not going to get back to you. You can report it to us at bbb.org/scam tracker. We do handle some of the smaller stuff, so we may be able to help as well. If this happens to you, you want to change all your email passwords for your personal account, your business account, any type of platforms that you're on, Facebook, anything that may have that same password. You want to check that out and make sure that those are all changed. You may need to get an IT professional involved. You want to make sure that the scammer is out of your email box, and it's sometimes not as easy as just changing your password. So make sure that you have cleaned your computer and made sure that nobody is looking over your shoulder anymore. And you want to change your e-banking passwords or any other associated passwords, PINs, and security questions and answers if it's something related to your bank. If it's just something where you're going to purchase gift cards, that's a little bit different. However, it's always best to err on the side of caution. Zoom bombing. Zoom bombing is a real thing. It's taking place in our communities left and right. More and more people are working from home. They're doing video conferences. They're using Zoom. That's usually the preferred platform. What we can say about that is when you create a Zoom meeting, make sure that your embed password and meeting link for one-click join function is enabled. And you can actually find that in your settings for your Zoom account. If it's not clicked, you want to make sure that you've clicked it. When you create a meeting, you don't want to share that via any type of public platform, even private rooms such as Facebook private rooms. The best course of action here is to have somebody register for your event and then go ahead and send them the link. You don't want to post it publicly because that can be shared easily and it can get bad actors into your meeting who are either eavesdropping on your meeting, or sometimes they share inappropriate images, sometimes profanity. So you really want to be careful here with who gets that link and who has access to it. And hosts should be the only ones who can share their screen. When you set up a meeting, make sure that the host can only share and gives permission to others to share their screen throughout the event. Free trial offers is just something that I wanted to talk on briefly. We see this all the time, free trial offers, either a website offer, a TV offer. You can call and sign up for it. You can fill out a form to sign up for it. What happens here is that consumers typically don't read that fine print and they get stuck with recurring shipments of approximately $100 a month that are very hard to cancel. So when you are signing up for a free trial offer, make sure that you just read all the fine print, know how to cancel, and do your research on the company before you do sign up for that. Phishing. This is huge. It comes in the form of text messages. It comes in the form of emails. We saw a lot of it during COVID-19 where scammers were phishing for information saying that you could take an online test for COVID-19. You could get a test kit, and all you had to do was fill out this form, this online form for either for information or get the test kit delivered to you. What that was really looking for was your personal information. That was their way of collecting your personal information. These test kits were would allegedly say if you've been infected or if you've recovered. And sometimes you had to provide credit card information for it as well. So what we say about this is government agencies will not ever communicate with you through text messages. They won't even call outside of a contact tracer. The first communication with a government agency will be through mail. And if they do somebody tries to reach out to you via email, and government agency will always have a .gov email at the end, not something like a Gmail account or a Yahoo account or one of those other platform accounts. We talked a little bit about computer malware. Like I said, if you click on a link, if you give remote access to your computer, scammers can infect computers. It can be delivered in the form of emails or text messages. If you think about it, how many times have you gotten an unsolicited text message with a link? If you click on that link, it can easily download any type of malware to your smartphone, your iPad. It can disable it completely. It can take all the information off of it. Sometimes it'll install a virus, like I said, stealing that personal information. We encourage you, do not click on any links that are sent to you that are unsolicited from unknown senders. Romance scams, victims are typically contacted through dating sites, sometimes social media, even email. So the scammer is behind a fake profile, usually a pretty hot guy or a real cute girl, some really young, cute thing. They communicate with their victims for a long period of time. Their victim really falls in love with them and they start to gain trust with their victim, but they never want to agree to meet in person with this victim. They request gift cards. Sometimes they'll start to request funds to be wired to them. A lot of times they're overseas and first they start out by saying, you know, hey, my car broke down, it needs $50 in repairs, $100 in repairs, just a small repair, I don't have any money, can you help me out with that? And the person who is really falling for this person sends them the money. So they were successful that time. And then they'll try again with a larger amount of money. And this will go on for quite some time. They'll continuously profess their love for them over email. They may talk on the phone. The relationship is going really well. They'll ask for more and more money. And the average loss for this scam is about $3,000 before the victim really catches on to what's going on here. But that number is really underreported, because people aren't only suffering financial harm here, they're embarrassed of reporting the scam. It's more of an emotional thing to them. So be very, very careful with these dating sites, social media. We all know people who met their spouse online, and with COVID going on, you know, these are really preferred platforms, and there are good people out there. You just need to be safe, and you really need to do your homework on the person, just as you would do your homework on the business. Online purchase scams. In 2019, these were the third most riskiest scam nationwide. These were the most riskiest scam for the state of Wisconsin in 2019. Nationwide, we do expect this to go to number one because of COVID-19 and everybody ordering online. With this scam, about $76 average loss, but 82% of our reports do include loss on this scam. So almost 8 out of 10 people who are reporting the scam have lost money. And the reason why they're losing money is because all of these fake websites are popping up, especially now when people are trying to order PPE, in-demand items that they can't find in stores, even household items. If you're looking to purchase apparel, you know, you can't go and try on anymore in a lot of the big box stores. So people are looking for other online options. They Google what they're looking for, and a website pops up, and the site looks pretty. It has what they want. The prices are great, but there's a little but going on there. Is it too good to be true? We recommend that if you're purchasing off an unsolicited website, not only unsolicited, but an unfamiliar website, be careful who you're buying from. Really check out that website before you go ahead and purchase. What happens here is people either order and they don't get the products that they're looking for, and they give in all their personal information, plus the funds are taken, or they order and they get counterfeit products. There was just a huge story that was aired on NBC on Monday, NBC 15 at 10, on fake websites. It was an investigative story by one of the reporters. We want you to do some checking first before you go ahead and click that buy or purchase button. One of the things that you can do is go to this website, godaddy.com/whois. You can put the website address in, and it'll tell you when that website was created, and it'll sometimes tell you where the registration of that website is. If it was created during the pandemic, you want to make sure that that site is really real. Chances are it's not, but if it was created March, April, May, June, July of 2020, that should be a red flag. You also want to check for other information. Spelling errors. Are there spelling and grammatical errors on the websites? This is a fake website. This is magicoceanbox.com. If you look across the top, this is just their contact us page. You can see that looks kind of pretty. Looks like all the information there, but all the information is not there. I've circled women jacket. That doesn't make sense. That should say women's jackets. Another one, if you have questions or concerns, then please do not hesitate to get in contact with us. We would love to hear from you. No punctuation at the end. Here is spelled incorrectly. A reputable website would not have any spelling or grammatical errors on it. It lacks a phone number. Websites should always have complete contact information on them, meaning email address, phone number. You should be able to Google that address and make sure that it goes to a place of business, not an empty field or a UPS store. In this case, it looks like it has an address to it. Once I've Googled this phone number, I found out it is not correct. This address should be 31 Southampton Row, London, United Kingdom. That's the mailing address, not Greater London. And then if you see the WC1BSHJ, The real mailing address is 5HJ. Most people would overlook this. Like I said, this is a fake website. It looks beautiful, but it is fake. The woman who ordered from this, she did get her product, but she did not get anything like she had ordered. This is the Whois database, and you can find this at godaddy.com/whois. I typed in themagicOceanbox.com and found that the website was created on 5/17 of 2020. All of those red flags should have been enough to tell me this could be a fake website. I'm going to take my business elsewhere. BBB Scam Tracker is a great tool. You can find this at bbb.org/scam tracker. There are two ways that you can use this. You can use it to report a scam, or you can look up the scams that are taking place in your area. And I pulled this a few days ago, and you can see the scams that are taking place in the Madison area here. A lot of online purchase scams. You can see if they lost money or if they're just reporting the scam and they were able to get away without losing any money to it. And you can also view the details of the scam. And I pulled out this specific scam. It is an online purchase scam. And this was a bait and switch scam that somebody had reported to us. But the takeaway here, and I'm not going to read this to you word for word, but this person said they advertise in Instagram. If you see an advertisement on Instagram, on Facebook, any other social media platform, even at the top of Google, like I had mentioned, scammers use ads to lure their victims. They use a lot of Instagram, a lot of Facebook ads to lure their victims to their website. So keep that in mind. If you're lured from one of those platforms, you want to do some extra homework to make sure that that's not a fake website. And then on the scam that was reported, it was from the BFE Corporation, and I went to right to bbb.org, which is another research tool that you can use, and found out they do have an F rating. And there are 30 customer reviews, 8 customer complaints, and the consumer can sift through those and see what people have to say and make a decision from there. We also recommend that you search other platforms as well. You can go into Google and type in the name of the company, complaints, the name of the company, scams, the name of the company, customer review. Really do your full research before you go ahead and order something. We're going to go through some online and social media safety tips here. And then at the end of this, it'll conclude my presentation and we'll open it up for questions. We want you to stay up to date with your electronic devices, not only your computers, your phones, your iPads. Make sure that you're also updating your router software, your web browser, your operating systems. When those updates come out, it means that there's additional protections most of the time, additional securities. So take those updates right away. Don't just keep putting it off until you can't, because those are usually important updates. That are updating either, like I said, your operating system, some security standpoints. Sometimes we don't know what's all in there, but it's usually pretty important stuff. You also want to make sure that your devices have antivirus, anti-spam, anti-spyware, and a firewall on them as well to keep you protected. You want to think before you click. We went through this quite a bit, double checking those email addresses, make sure that they're legitimate. Did you opt in to receive any text messages from your sender? Be wary about those that come unsolicited. Right now, we're getting a lot of unsolicited political texts. Make sure that you've opted in. Do not respond to those texts if you don't want to keep getting them, because they won't take you off their list. They will graduate you to another list because they realize that they have reached a working phone number. Research before you buy. A few other tips here. Check to make sure the site's secure with a padlock or HTTPS. That's not the only thing that you should check though. Go back to those other tips that we had talked about. Go back to bbb.org. What are we saying about the company? If you can't find any information on the company, proceed carefully. No information does not mean good information. Don't be too social on those social platforms that are out there, whatever you choose to use, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, the list goes on. Use your settings and review those settings periodically. Make sure your social media pages are set to private. You want to make sure that the people who you're connected with are seeing the information that you want to share with them. Typically, you can put those people in groups, so make sure that you're doing that in your settings. If that's something, there's something that you post that you don't want certain people to see, only accept those friend requests from people you know. Sometimes scammers can get into emails and represent people that they're not. So make sure that you're only accepting those from the people that you know. You want to be leery of social media messages that come from friends that seem a little out of character, like offering a grant or free money. Would a friend really tell you that? Even though it's coming from your friend, a scammer could be in your friend's social media. So be careful of that. And like I said, be careful with who you share the information with. Guard your information, back it up on a regular basis, not only your work files, but your personal files as well. Your photos, your employee records, any contracts, have a system for backup and do it regularly. You want to clear out your stockpiles. How many of us have drawers full of old devices, tablets, phones, even old hard drives sitting in our basement? We want to make sure that those are wiped and destroyed and taken to our place to recycle them. Before you take them anywhere, before you donate them, make sure that they are wiped clean, because it's unbelievable if somebody just tries to destroy a phone or a tablet on their own, the information is still available. And you want to read the privacy policy on websites and apps. What is it gathering and how is it being used? You could be giving your personal information and they could be using it without your permission. So when it pops up to read those terms and conditions, you want to make sure that you're reading them, because a lot of times it is gathering personal information that you may not be willing to share. Passwords, we talked about this. They should be long and strong. Combination between upper and lower case. You don't want to use common passwords that can be guessed, like 123456 or 987654321. And you don't want to forget to secure your router either. When I look for Wi-Fi connections, I can see a whole bunch of routers that are open from my neighbors. So you want to make sure that you have secured those. You can consider using a password manager as well to manage all your different passwords. There's some online versions of that. There's also some written versions of that. We do not recommend that you write passwords and usernames down on sticky notes and post them on your computer. It can easily get into the wrong hands. If you take a picture of your screen with your computer, you can accidentally get a password in the shot, send it out on social media, and somebody's just received your password without you knowing it. So be very careful about the password manager you choose to use. And you also want to enable that two-step verification, even the finger swipe on your phone, for additional protections. Public Wi-Fi. I see so many people asking, hey, who has public Wi-Fi? I'm going to go work from the coffee shop today. Okay, great. We need to be a little bit more careful when we use public Wi-Fi. First thing you want to do, read the terms and conditions of the public Wi-Fi agreement. It's usually there. You want to read it. You just don't want to click off on it. You want to use public Wi-Fi responsibly. And when we say responsibly, looking up product information is fine. But when you start getting into work stuff, if you're connecting to proprietary software, personal information, any type of VPN, you don't want to use the public Wi-Fi to go through that. If you want to work through a coffee shop, from a coffee shop, make sure that you have a secure connection and connect with your phone, the secure connection on your phone, not the coffee shop's Wi-Fi. Don't connect to the banking. Again, scammers can get into that public Wi-Fi and they can get information if some type of spyware has been installed on it. You've just opened it up to scammers getting into your personal information, and although it may not hurt you now, it could be a problem down the road when they've sold your personal information on the dark web. And if you are using a public computer, such as at a library, make sure that you log out of your email and social media accounts before leaving. And I'll end with your mobile life. We all have a number of apps on our phones and our devices. Every spring, we recommend that you go through them, make sure that you're removing those apps that you no longer use. And the benefit of them is that you're freeing up that storage space and you're gaining more battery life. And we'll just wrap up with these social media tips. Stay up to date with new electronic updates. Think before you click. Research before you buy. Don't be too social. Guard your information. Make passwords long and strong. Use public Wi-Fi responsibly, and clean up your mobile life. Thank you for having me today, and we will open it up for questions, Kelly.
All right, great timing, Tiffany. So we have our next speaker will come on at 11, so we have some time for questions. I'm going to start with the ones that were submitted, and as a reminder, you have access to submit questions through your right toolbar there. One of the questions, Tiffany, is do Facebook and Instagram try to police or screen their advertisers?
My guess is no, but maybe they do. A lot of times when you do place an advertisement on Facebook or Instagram, it does need to go through a filter system, but what it's filtering for, I'm not exactly sure. Just like if you see advertisements on any type of website, it goes through a central hub and it's sent out to all these different websites to post. So I've worked in advertising before, and I can tell you if a deal is on my desk and somebody is willing and able to pay, you're doing that deal. So most advertising companies are not screening their advertisers when advertising is sent out. So I would be very careful, and it's up to the consumer to be able to filter through, is this really real? Again, you can bring that advertisement to us at bbb.org and we can check that out for you as well. So if you feel that it's misleading, bring it to our attention, because that's one less advertiser that's on the street if we can get that person off the street. Kind of like a bad guy. Law enforcement's job is to get the bad guys off the street. Our job is to get the business bad guys off the street.
All right, thank you. In regards to preparing your laptop or computer before you get rid of it, one of the questions was, how do you wipe a hard drive, or how would you recommend doing that?
There's software for that. If you take it to a place to be recycled, sometimes that they can give you resources as well. An IT professional should also be able to wipe that for you.
One of the questions is about getting a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, and I think you had referenced that, Tiffany. You have your contact information up on the screen right now. And is it best if they just contact you directly with that request?
Yes, please reach out to me directly if you're interested in getting a copy of this. If you are interested in repurposing it for any reason, you're welcome to do that. However, we do have some guidelines for that as well. So reach out to me directly and I can help you with that.
Great. Another question, do you know of any tech companies or independent providers who are trusted with the Better Business Bureau to help people clean or manage the safety and security of a senior's technology?
You can check out resources at bbb.org. It's a great database of different businesses, usually tech companies local to your area can help with that type of stuff as well. If you'd like to talk further about that, I'm happy to help. Maybe that we can establish some type of partnership, and you can reach out to me directly on that, and we can go forward, and maybe I can point you in the right direction as well.
So like I said, I encourage people, if they still have questions, a general question, Tiffany, where can I find information about scams that I should be aware of? Where's the best place for me to look?
Check us out on bbb.org. We have a news section there where we post all of our tips, we post all of our scam alerts, we post all of our investigations. It's a great resource. You can also sign up for our consumer newsletter there as well. So I would recommend to sign up. Our consumer newsletter, I believe, is only once a month, so it's not going to spam your inbox.
Another question, what are some of the largest scams that pull in the most amount of money? What would you say are some of the largest scams to be aware of?
The biggest scam that we had talked about was the online purchase scams, which was #3 in the nation last year, #1 for BBB Wisconsin. We expect that to go to #1. So if you are ordering online this holiday season, if you've chosen to do more of your business online, check out those websites. And when you're ordering from those third-party platforms, eBay, Amazon, anywhere else that has seller goods on it, you want to make sure that you're checking out the seller as well. Just like you check out a business, you want to check out that seller. And sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to check out that seller. And you can start Googling that seller's name too, because if they're selling on Amazon, they're probably selling on another platform as well. They might be selling on Walmart or eBay or whatever other ones are out there. I know there's a ton of them that are popping up. So check out your sellers, because not all sellers are legitimate and they're jumping on the bandwagon to scam people. The other big scam that's growing, which I talked about, are those business email compromise scams. I'm taking a class in Milwaukee from the FBI. They really talked about those BEC scams, how it's hurting that real estate industry, because these scammers realize that they can make big money. The only thing that they're wanting you to do is telling you you need to wire that money or deposit that money somewhere else. There goes your life savings. A $75,000 average loss is huge. So be aware, be careful. If you get an urgent request and it's not what you were originally told, pick up that phone and call your agent.
And Tiffany, even if I'm very careful and I happen to become the victim of a fraud, lose some money, or I am close to becoming a victim, what would you suggest are some of my first steps?
Report it. Report it to bbb.org. You can report it to law enforcement, and I want you to be very careful about that, because law enforcement, depending on where you are, sometimes they have very small staffs. They're dealing with so many other issues in our communities right now. They don't have time to look and for the $100 loss or whatever you lost. I mean, if it's not a large dollar amount, meaning tens of thousands of dollars, chances are it's just going to get written on a report and there it goes. Large loss, very large losses, report them to the FBI at the ic3.gov email address. But you can use bbb.org as your go-to source, bbb.org/scam tracker, because those reports come directly to us, and our investigator, she'll actually tell you if it should be reported somewhere else too. So if you just kind of want a one-stop action, report it to bbb.org. And then if you get an email back saying, hey, this should also go to the FBI as well, or this should also go to your local police department, she's going to tell you.
All right, I had another
scam tracker tool is you can also look up to see what's going on in your own area. So if you're approached with a scam, go ahead, see if it's taking place somewhere, because chances are, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
Thank you. I did have one more come into the question box here. So one of the most frustrating things for adult protective services workers is a person who continues to get scammed over and over. No matter what resources we provide, some just can't stop falling victim. I've had a few that have had so many issues that the banks and now credit cards are no longer willing to reimburse them. Is there another option for them to try to get their money back outside of filing a police report?
File a report with us at bbb.org. Sometimes that we can help. A lot of this is education, and a lot of times it takes for people to be scammed before they realize that they need to be a little bit more careful. But I always preach education, education, education. Get the caregiver involved for more education. So again, you can reach out to me and we can brainstorm more ideas. I can go back to my resources if there's really an issue and see what else we can come up with. But file that report with us. Sometimes we can help. Like I said, law enforcement, it might just be going on a piece of paper, depending on how large the organization is. They may not have anybody to deal with it.
All right, and for the purposes of time, we'll take one more here. The question is, have you heard of any issues, perhaps not scams per se, but airlines or travel companies unwilling to refund tickets during COVID?
Yes, there are some out there. I know that I don't want to call out names, but there were some travel groups in the beginning of COVID where these kids, they paid a few $1,000s to go overseas. The trip was canceled. They refunded a large majority of the money, but not all of the money. So when you're buying travel insurance, and this isn't something that I was going to talk about, but I will, make sure that you've read that fine print. Make sure that you know what they cover, how you can cancel, by what date you need to cancel. Not everything is the same, and do your research. Check those companies out on bbb.org, the insurance company, the travel agent. Every company is going to be different, but yes, we have had those complaints. And there have been, more than, 1 or 2 companies that have done this across the United States because they've capitalized on the pandemic. The pandemic is a scammer's paradise right now. They're taking advantage any way that they can, and the consumer needs to be one step ahead of the scammer or the illegitimate company.
All right, it looks like that ends our questions. And any last thoughts, Tiffany? Anything else that you wanted to say before we wrapped up?
Be careful. Scammers try to gain your trust, and they're trying to manipulate you in ways to make you act. So we want to trust, and we can trust. We just need to be vigilant. We need to think with our heart, or we need to think with our head before our heart. I can tell you a story from just the other day. I had UW Health call me, and this is a personal story. I'll share it with you. But they were calling to verify all of my information that I had on file before my appointment yesterday. And red flags went up because normally they take all that insurance information when I got to the counter. And I Googled the phone number, and it was legitimate. And I even said to the person, "Are you really UW Health calling? Because I work for the BBB, and we warn people about people like you." And she said, "This is a precaution that they're taking because of COVID, that they want less contact at the window. So they were doing all the work over the phone." So don't be afraid to question people, because if they are illegitimate, they may just hang up on you because you're onto them. So do your homework. I mean, even the more well-established companies like UW Health, scammers do use that to try to get people to talk and, gain their trust. And it's a scary world out there. And what we're doing at the BBB is trying to advance marketplace trust and get these scammers off the street. And we're trying to help mitigate the risk. And just like it's risky to drive your car, it's risky to shop online these days. But if you do your homework and you're well prepared, you'll have a successful experience.
All right, thank you so much for that, Tiffany, and thank you for all the useful information today.